Alright, so what we have here is a Dell PowerEdge R730, and today we're going to be replacing the motherboard on it, and I figured we'd walk through how to do that together. So the first thing is just some basic prep. You want to remove the power supplies from the back of the unit first. And if you have any hard drives that are connected to the front, you will want to remove them from the caddy, not the caddies, but from the actual front here. So remove your trays, remove the drives, remove your power supplies, and we can get started. So first thing first, take the lid, remove it. It might be locked. You can see that there is an unlock and a lock. If it's locked, you can literally just take a flathead or a Phillips and just rotate it to either the locked or the unlocked position. The unlocked position is on the left side. Lift this up with your finger. Bang. Now, I'm going to work from the back up. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to take out the three riser cards here, right? You can see that they're labeled riser 3, riser 2, riser 1. And you just do like a wiggle motion as you pull up. You don't want to pull too hard, it's plastic. And these just come out pretty easy. And take your time with it, it's not a rush. All right, we're going to take these, put this to the side. The next thing that we're going to do is remove the NIC card here. That is just 2 screws. So bang, bang, right? And then take the screws and you're going to lift up. And then we're going to pull back like that. Cards out, put to the side. Now we're going to remove the CPU RAM cover. Put it to the side. And now we're going to remove the fans. To do that, it's just these 2 blue tabs on each side. You got one here, you got one here. They just lift up like that, lift up like that, and then lift this one out, put it to the side. Next thing we're going to do is start to remove cables along here. So we need to get this guy off, and how you do that is you slide it this way. Sometimes you'll have to push this button down. It's literally, it gives you the little blue circle, you push it down, this slides out, and you use this thumb guy here and you just, like that, slides out. You see how these two, this is where it holds in. On the bottom, take it, put it to the side. Now, before we take this piece off, this plastic piece right here, you see that we have some cables. So the first thing we're going to do is remove those cables. So we're going to take this guy. This is the power supply to your DVD drive. We're going to just pop this guy out. You have your SATA port. You actually have 2 SATA ports if you want to add something else, but this is a SATA port again to the DVD drive. So we're going to pop this guy out. And then we have one more, which is a mainboard connector for the SAS backplane. So we're going to go and disconnect that, and it's a blue, not a blue, but it's a, you probably can't see, but it's literally a tab right here. You just push this tab in. You push the tab in, you get under the ribbon, and you pull up. It comes out like that. And you're going to glide this guy off and put it to the side. Now, if you get a little weight, it makes it a little easier. So what I'm doing is I'm going to actually take my fan tray and I'm going to just hold these cables down so it gives me an easier, cleaner area to work in. So now we're going to take this off here. This just slides, right? Right? See what I did? You push the blue tab, you push the blue tab, and you push it this way, and then you lift, and it comes out like that. It's got an arrow as well. And you'll see when we go to replace how we get it back on, there's these 2 metal rivets that stick out. it sits on top of that, and we're going to slide it to the right. But for now, we're going to take this bit to the side. Next thing we're going to do is this is for the iDRAC. So we're going to just go ahead and lift this guy out like that. And it comes out pretty easy. And then you have your secondary motherboard iDRAC port. So what I like to do to make this a little easier for me is to get a little leverage. So I take this cable that's over here and I lift it up. Right, you got to get it around the rivets. I know you probably can't see it that great, but you got to just lift it up, get a little wiggle room here, and then for this, it's going to be the same thing that we did for this one. So essentially what we're going to do is we're going to push this tab in, and we're going to pull up on the cable. Now you don't want to push too hard because you don't want to rip the power cables out. So you want to try to squeeze it from the bottom, so you push the pin in and you lift up, and bang, it comes out like that. So you squeeze this guy, and you push it up. If you got big hands like me, it's going to be a little challenging, but it's not impossible. You'll get it. And again, you can see what I'm doing is putting all of the wires to the side so that we can have a nice clean work area. Now we're going to go back up, check our progress. We're going to come back down here, and now what we're going to do is take care of the RAID card. RAID card is 2 screws, screwdriver. And you just go like that. When you start hearing that clicking sound, it's unscrewed. And then again, I like to use something like a flathead screwdriver or some kind of like a paint can or paint thing. I don't even know what the hell this thing's freaking called. Yeah, if you have big hands like me, it's very difficult with the smaller components. So you kind of just get it going like that. And then this guy lifts up. Take the whole unit out. And then this piece right here just slides right off it, right? So it's a pass-through. You got your main connector here, you have your connector on the bottom, you have your actual RAID card here, and then you see that your SAS cable that runs to the back plane, which is over here, sits on top. So it's like a intermediary piece with connectors on both sides. So you want to take some care not to screw up or fuck up any of the pins. Now what we're going to do is just take this cable. It runs along the back here and around the side. We're going to just go through like this. There are some clips here to hold it in. Just these pop right out. This power cable is disconnected already, but if you have an 8-bay backplane, it's going to be plugged in here. If you have a 16 backplay, you're going to have a little bit of a thicker cable. It's going to be plugged in here, so you just pop that out. And then if you have like a 24 bay, then what would happen is you would have 2 different power cables. So in this case, we got this guy, 8 bay, so we're going to just lift it and pull it out. And then you can see that this white cable here, if you remember just a few minutes ago when we pulled this guy out here, that's what this one's for. So this one wraps around, pops in here, but for now we put it over here. So I'm doing the same thing, right? We're just going to take my RAID card, I'm going to put my backplane, I'm going to put it to the side. And what you get now is motherboard level access. And we're almost done. So the next thing that we're going to do really, I mean, we could take it out like it is now, but if we're doing a swap, we're going to take the heat sinks off. It's 4 screws. So you just go in here. You got to go in an X pattern because they changed the design between the 12th and the 13th gen. I personally find it annoying. I think it's just added extra steps, but I'm sure there's a reason for it. So just 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then you lift that, put that over here. And if you see what I'm doing, I'm just leaving them here. And I'll tell you why. Now, for the CPU removal piece, I don't like to use gloves, especially ones, these are like nylon coated. So I actually take the gloves off, and we're going to take the CPUs out. So we're going to go like this and lift like that. And then you're going to do this side and this pushes in and lifts up. Now you can see that this piece here holds this guy down, and then what we're going to do is lift up the CPU unit, and then we're just going to take the CPU out, and then what I like to do is just like that, right on it, leave it be, not bothering nobody, it's doing its thing. And then we're going to rinse and repeat for the other side, and again it's just pushing up, right? Take the CPU out, and all right, so now that you have all this going here, we can actually remove the board, but I am going to actually leave these in just because I don't want to screw the pins up. So this is not something like you know what, fuck it. So I'm putting them back in. If you're replacing the board, you don't have to do that, right? So we're going to put this guy back here. And that's only because I don't have the CPU protective covers. So we're going to leave the CPUs in. We're going to leave them alone. And then the next step is to go through and remove the board, right? Now, to remove the board is very simple. You'll see you have a blue tab here, right? And then you have, well, this is just a hard piece of plastic, but it's something that you hold, right? And then this is a pull tab, and you can see there's an arrow, and it says to go that way. So what are we going to do? We're going to pull this up, right? You can, I don't know if you can hear that. It's a spring. Pull it up, and then we're going to, with both hands, we're going to go left. Bang, like that. Then we're going to lift it, and just like that, she's out. Now, to reassemble, you just follow the steps and you just go through it backwards. All right, now that we have it out, we have our new motherboard. Let's get her installed. So first thing we're going to do is put the motherboard back in. And how we do that is very similar way we got it out. So you kind of just, you see how I'm doing that at an angle? You just do it at an angle, right? And then it'll fall into place just like that. And then just how we took it out, we're gonna get it seated properly, and then we're gonna get it back in. Now, if you're hitting resistance, you are most likely not having these aligned to the holes on the chassis to plug in, right? Like you have your items here, you got your USB, your VGA, your serial cable, like it's 1975, baby. And then you got your iDirect port. And essentially what we're going to do is just click it in. Hear it click? Did you hear that click? That's when you know it's in place. Bang, like that. This pin actually will drop down. And it's very important because otherwise it's not going to be locked and it'll move around on you. So here, one more time. See here, the pin is lifted up and you'll hear the click. Bang, like that. Okay. Now, she's in. Now, if you are swapping the CPUs, I'm going to give you a little LPT. If we go down here and we look, and I hope that you probably can't see it because of this, so we're going to actually drop this guy down. But you have an arrow. You see this arrow here? And then on the actual CPU itself, you have another arrow right here. So that tells you where you're going to actually be putting the CPU, okay? So when you put the CPUs back, you match it up to the arrow on the board, and then you just place it in like so, and you get that back. It's really one of the biggest challenges. You can't put it in the other way. At least I don't believe you can. I hope you can. But you do that for both sides, but you want to take a note of that. The next thing that we're going to do is run our cables back around, and I'm going to not do that. So if I confused you, sorry. We're going to go and do our SAS backplane first. All right, so we have our cables here, and then the way that this works is it slides in. You'll see that there are 1, 2, 3, 4 pins on here. Again, if you have a 16 bay, you'll just have another set of 4 pins. You want to match them up. There are holes in the card where the pins go, right? And then you have lines. You can't see that, of course. You have ridges here. Oh, got blurry on me. You got ridges. You follow it, right? And then it just kind of, you drop down a little bit. You find those lines. You match the holes up. And again, take your time. It's not a rush. You match it up. And you get it seated back in. Now, when you have it seated back in, when you push down, you'll hear it click. Alright, so you hear it click there. Then what we're going to do is, before we reconnect the RAID card, we're going to take our power cable. And again, this is for an 8 bay, so an 8 bay is going to plug in here. If you have a 16 bay, you have the thicker cable, right, because you have more drives, so you have more need for power, so you have extra thicker cable goes into this guy here. Then we're going to take our RAID cable, we're going to plug, just to keep it nice, we're going to put them back in the clips. This is not a necessary step, but it helps. Alright, so these guys go back in the clips. Going to bring it up a little bit, and then you have this guy here. We're going to wrap it around there, and then you have this guy here. We're going to just pull this out. We're going to drop it down, and we're going to run the cable behind here. All right, just like that. We're going to get a RAID card. Okay, and this is the RAID battery. So if your RAID battery ever goes, you literally have this cable here, and if you just pull this cable out, you can remove the battery, flip in a new battery, and you're back in business. So we're going to seat this. How do we seat this? We're going to rock it. All right, so we're going to go like this. We're going to push it. We're going to go in at an angle, and then we're going to drop it down. And there's pins, and you'll know when it's in because it won't move on you. You'll hear a click, very light click, because it just connects to the pins. And then we're going to take our RAID card, which also have pins. You see the holes here? And then they match up to the pins on the board. And we're just going to finagle back into place, just like that. Now we're going to screw it down, like that, like that. All right, then we're going to take our NIC card and get that back installed. And how we're going to do that is, again, I like to do it at an angle. So you get it into the, you put the, like that, you push it down like that, and you see how it literally has the hands on it. You push down here, and you'll feel it when it's into the connector slot. Then once it is, you take your 2 screws, and you just bang, bang. And what we're going to go ahead and do is, before we do the CPUs, we're going to go on this side again, and we're just going to do the same thing in reverse. So I'm going to take this off here, and what I like to do is I take my cable here, right? I'm just going to do it in complete reverse of how we took it out, and I run it behind this guy, just like we did on the other side. Run it behind this guy, and you want to run it around. So we're just going to take this, we're going to go like that, go like that. And this is the power cable one, so we got to find the right one here. All right, so then we're going to get this guy here, because this is for this actually plugs into the LCD on the front, and it's for the iDrive. So we're going to take our cable, we're going to do the same thing, we're going to run it here. All right, we're going to run it right here, and we're going to connected in here. It is a little tight. That's why I like it better when you don't have the heat sinks on top. And again, you just push down and hear a click. Done. Second thing we're going to do is take this guy here, right? Again, plugs into the front. This is for your motherboard and the LCD panel for your iDrive. And we're going to just finagle it in. This one could be a little challenging, but again, you just take your time, you match it up as best you can, and you will feel it when it goes in. And just like that, she's back in business. Now we're going to take our cover, right? And we're going to, you got your rivet 1. I don't know if you can see them that great. I apologize. We got rivet 1 here, and you got another rivet over here, and they match up. Here, you see, you got a groove here, you got a groove here, and then you just kind of seat it and slide it. Clicks back into place. We keep going. Now we're going to take our, this is the, if you remember, the power cable for the DVD drive. Just run it along the top there. All right, if you want to keep it neat, you run it around here. And then this guy literally just, the pin side, the clip, you know, the push pin side goes faces this way, and then just plugs back in. Rinse and repeat with the SATA cable. There you go. Push this guy in. Put it into the blue SATA port. To be honest with you, it does not matter which SATA port you use, but we're going to just follow how it was originally. And we got one more, right? So this is for our drive backplane. And again, down, around. Make sure you're putting it behind here, because otherwise when you go to put the fans in, you might run into some problemos. And then you take this cable here, it plugs into this guy. I'm sorry, it does not. It plugs into this guy. Oh yeah, come on. Come on, Bessie. Oh, isn't this wonderful? And then it just, you gotta get it in. And then just, I think I'm in the wrong one. Doing that, baby. All right, and then it's just, it is not clicking. I think, come on. There we go. All right, great. So it goes into the white one because I screwed up. So if you had an R7 or an R730 XD, that's when you would use these here, right? So this one's going to be for the backplane for like if you had a flex card. Something like this. If you had a flex card, the flex card sits here, you know, then you have your power cable that goes in here, and then you have the backplane, which would go into here. But because this is not an XD model, we cannot do that. But just the motherboards are the same. You just have the extra pin cables, and that's how you do it. The next thing we got is this guy here, sits on top. And if you remember, we slid it out this way. Now we're just going to slide it back that way. And then it just slides back into place. Just like that. Put your heat sinks back on. You screw them in. You take your fan. And remember, you want these airflow lines to face towards the back, because we want to blow the air from the front and push it to the back. Keeps the CPUs nice. You'll see that they have these pins, right? And they just kind of line up to where it sits. You put it in and bang. If you are struggling to get this to sit flush, you have to push the wires down on the sides lower to the ground. That's why those little clip holders that we were doing, it's important to use them. Not mandatory, you can get around it, but that's how you make sure it's flush. We have our cover. Not going to do that just yet. Then we have our riser cards. So, if you remember, it goes 3, 2, 1. So, 3, right? So you see you have this little guide here, and you just slide it in, and then it goes in like that. Then you have this guy here, right? And again, you have you have a guide. So you just slide it and bang. The one thing that you want to make a note of is that there is a little pin. You see this guy here, the pin here, and that matches up to the hole here. So you go here, you push this guy down, and then when you're going through it, you might have to use, you know, a little force to push the chassis up to get the hole to fit into the pin. Bang, just like that. Whoa! And then you got this guy here, and the way that this works is, again, you have a guide, and you have these guys here as well. You see the little holes there? So I like to actually use these. I like to slot it here, push down, bang, just like that, like that, and you're back in business. Now, I know that we didn't put RAM, and I didn't take any RAM out, but if you have RAM, you want to make sure that you just take your time and be gentle when you remove it. Now, on these here, you see how like one is longer and one is shorter? When you're going to put the RAM back in, you just pay attention to the slot. So you see this here, this one is, so this is the shorter one, this is the longer side, so this would fit in like this. And then if it's the longer side and the shorter side, you just turn it around and then sit it in that way. That is how you replace a motherboard for an R730 Dell PowerEdge 13th generation server. Thanks for checking out my video. Don't forget to put the power supplies back in and your drives, and you should be good to go.